Quickly going over the Wusthof Ikon and the Shun Sora 6-inch utility knives. While both of these knives are on two opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of the manufacturer, the Ikon is the highest end knife that Wusthof makes, and the Sora is essentially the lowest end knife that Shun makes. In actuality, they work almost exactly the same, and they're very similar knives. Off the bat, they are both forged, they are both handmade. The Shun is made in Japan, the Wusthof is made in Germany, and the cutting angles are actually very similar as well. The Shun is a 16-degree angle, and the Wusthof is an even thinner 14-degree angle, so they're both extremely sharp. The difference really starts in terms of what metal the blades are made out of. The Shun uses VG10 steel, which is really considered the sort of gold standard in knife making. It's a 61 hardness, so it's extremely hard, it's extremely resilient, and it holds on to an edge very, very well. On top of that, they then take it one step further and they wrap it in stainless steel, which number one gives you this gorgeous wave design, but number two, it makes it very resilient to pitting, to staining, and to rust. The Wusthof, on the other hand, is made with their own proprietary steel, and it's a 58 hardness, so it's much, much softer, and that means that it's going to wear down and need sharpening and honing much more often than the Shun will. And on top of that, it is just plain metal, so they don't wrap it or clad it in anything. Both knives also essentially have full tangs, and what I mean by that is the Ikon definitely has a full tang. You can see it goes all the way down, and it even has this extra mass of metal so that when you hold it in your hand, it weighs into your hand and sort of merges with your hand. The Sora has a tang that goes all the way down to about here. It's called a rabbit tang. But in practical purposes, it's going to behave almost exactly the same as a full tang 99.9% of the way. Because when you're using it, the handle or the tang ends so far down that there's no pivot point. There's no risk of the knife separating from the actual handle because you're actually using the tang as a handle the entire time. So that's a thing to consider. With that said, in terms of the actual handles, the Sora is a much more simplistic, traditional, sort of squared Japanese design, and it is comfortable. It's not uncomfortable by any means, but the Ikon takes it to a whole nother level. You can tell they've really designed this handle to be the most ergonomic they could, and no matter how you're holding it, it seems, it really just fits into your hand perfectly. So I think that if you really, really want that extra bit of ergonomics, that's a great thing to consider. You're not going to get tired using this knife at all, especially if you use the knife a lot. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to what you like. Both of these knives do have essentially the same warranty, and I'll explain that. The Ikon comes with a lifetime warranty. The Sora comes with a 10-year warranty. But in actuality, those are going to be pretty much the same type of warranty, because both cover manufacturing defects, and almost every manufacturing defect you're ever going to possibly have is going to show up long before the 10-year mark is hit. So anything more than that's really just lip service. What really, really does matter, I think, is that the Shun comes with a lifetime of free sharpening, and this is why I think it matters. As you guys know, if you're working with high-end knives and sending them to a reputable sharpener, it's going to cost you about $5 per inch to sharpen the blade. So for 6-inch knives like this, that's $30 at a minimum out the door to sharpen the knife. And even then, you don't know if they're going to put a good edge on it or if you're going to be one of the horror stories. With Shun, you send it to them, they look at the knife. If they see any problems whatsoever, they throw the knife away and give you a brand new one. But otherwise, you can rest easy knowing they're going to put the exact same angle right back on the knife from when you first fell in love with it. With that said, it really depends on the type of knife you like. If you like a more hefty, sort of German-style knife, the Ikon is the best that money can buy. And if you like a lighter, more nimble type of knife, the Shun Sora is a great choice, and it is very, very cheap compared to other knives out there. So with that said, I'll put a link down to both below. If you guys have any questions or comments or concerns, as always, let me know. And otherwise, I will talk to you very soon. Quickly going over the Wusthof Ikon and the Shun Sora 6-inch utility knives. While both of these knives are on two opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of the manufacturer, the Ikon is the highest end knife that Wusthof makes, and the Sora is essentially the lowest end knife that Shun makes. in actuality, they work almost exactly the